Hello, everyone, and welcome to Quincy Park in Arlington, Virginia, where we've got some doubles action in high school tennis. The Yorktown boys tennis team is here to take on their cross-county and conference rival, Washington Lee Generals. The Patriots are sending Tate Arlavalo and Will Donnelly to match up against Jack Horton and Victor Huguet. Some clouds have drifted through in this mid-April afternoon, but generally a very pleasant afternoon for tennis. We've gotten through the singles matches. And we had some close matches in the singles match, but Yorktown held on and has a 6-game advantage heading into doubles play. So Donnelly in the early going here, struggling to find his serve. You'll probably be able to hear quite a bit of non-tennis noise in our coverage. We are in Quincy Park, which is not only host to the Central Library in Arlington, but several other playing fields, and a typical weekday in the springtime in Arlington finds many groups out for some recreation, including the high school tennis players that we see. So on the baseball and softball fields behind us, there's quite a bit of activity. A lot of young people enjoying the weather and getting out on the field. And Donnelly will have a second serve now. Comes up short. First game goes to the Generals. So Washington lead with a 1-game lead here in the doubles match. And they've lost the first point. In game 2, Victor Huguet serving for the Generals. Can't catch up with that return. On the other courts, we'll get a look at some of the action on the courts a little bit later. But right next door, Amani Haskell and Aiden Stroop for the Yorktown Patriots are going up against Jasper Kerr and Jackson Brantley for the Washington Lee Generals. And on court 3, we have James Davis and Adrian Ahmed Spy for the Patriots, going up against Matt Hopper and Jonathan Stutzman. And finally, on court 4, we've got some exhibition play in doubles. And Conrad Wodowski and Michael Pari for Yorktown are facing off against John Miller and Ryan Bloom for Washington Lee. And so Huguet serving now. And the first serve is long. And that point goes to Washington Lee. And another point for Washington Lee. Huguet trying to hold serve. Pick up the second game for the Generals. And that point goes to Yorktown. Both teams showing a nice soft touch with the racket, but the point ultimately going to the Patriots. Some nice racket action from both sides, and the point goes to the Generals. And Arvallo now serve for Yorktown. As I mentioned, Yorktown coming out of the singles play for this match, sitting on a 6-game lead. So Yorktown coach Chris Seeger has got to be pleased with how they're playing today. Nice slam from Donnelly to pick up a point. Yorktown enjoying a pretty good season. They're like Washington Lee. They play in a very competitive conference. Conference 6. A lot of great tennis talent throughout the conference. Washington Lee has been struggling a little more this season than has Yorktown. But we've had a lot of good play from Washington Lee both today and earlier in the season. So Washington Lee coach Rusey Alexander has got to be probably pretty pleased with the progress I think a lot his players have made as the season has gone on. And some good net play. Will Donnelly picks another point for the Patriots. Both teams looking forward to some postseason play coming up in a couple of weeks. And that's long, so that point will go to the Generals. I don't know how often these doubles pairings have played this season. Horton and Huguet for Washington Lee. And Arvallo and Donnelly for Yorktown. But both teams seem to be playing well together. And a first serve from Horton goes long. And that returns a little too hot to handle. Donnelly return is long, point for the Generals. Both sides having a little bit of trouble with their serve, but both teams playing well at the net. So we have not seen very many long rallies. Both teams able to settle the matter quickly on their own terms at times. So Donnelly serving with Yorktown up 2-1. The teams in this doubles round are playing to 8 games. 8 games will win the match. The singles rounds took a little bit longer than typically. As I said, we had some close matches in singles play. So rather than be out on the courts for too long, in doubles we're just playing to 8 games. There are definitely a lot of non-high school players hanging around a little bit right now. Looking forward to getting onto these courts as soon as the high school players are done with them. The high school team typically in the spring takes up the court action on the weekdays for a good chunk of the afternoon. But then the courts will be open until quite late under the lights, as there are a lot of tennis players in Arlington who enjoy getting out after work and playing some tennis. And that return is long, so another point for the Yorktown Patriots. Donnelly trying to serve and hold serve and pick up a 3rd game for Yorktown. But not on that point. Nice return from Victor Huguet. All 4 players do a good job with the short volleys and playing at the net. All right, we are back, and Victor Huguet now back serving. And Huguet's return goes a little bit short. That's a point for Yorktown. All 4 players, good footwork and good job of covering the court, but we've seen a number of good forehands, good power forehands that have been hard to return. And that return goes long, though, so a point for the Generals. This is the 2nd match these schools have played this season. Earlier in the season, they met over at Yorktown's courts. And today, Washington Lee is the host. And with the tennis that a lot of these players play during the off season, the off high school season, it's fair to say that they are pretty familiar with each other. And most of the players on both Yorktown and Washington Lee have been at this sport for quite a long time, even predating their high school careers. So had a lot of opportunity to play against each other and or play on the same team at different times. So Tate Aralo serving, trying to extend the Yorktown lead in this doubles match. So nice long returns from both sides. But Yorktown is able to settle the issue with a sharp angle return that Horton couldn't catch up with. And now Arvala serving with game point. And another game for the Yorktown Patriots. All right, after our quick review of the action on the other courts, we're back to court one. The number one doubles teams for both Washington Lee and Yorktown are playing, and early on in the match, both sides seem to have a little trouble with their serve, but they've mostly overcome that. And Huguet showing a lot of talent at the net. A couple of nice returns in that exchange. So Jack Horton serving now as the Generals playing from behind in the match. And Yorktown picks up the first couple of points of this game. And a second serve from Horton. And Donnelly finds the angle. The angle that Horton cannot return, so. We are at break point in the game. And Horton will try to dig deep and come up with an ace. First serve is long. Donnelly back to receive from Horton. And the lucky bounce goes Yorktown's way. Game goes to Yorktown. Donnelly will serve. And you get a rare misstep at the net. He's been very reliable during the match, playing at the net. But the spin or something else on that return from Yorktown made it hard to handle. Donnelly comes up short on his first serve. Hard return from Donnelly wins the point. You can hear the wind picking up a bit here as the afternoon wears on. Not really a factor in the game. We don't tend to get very many lobs from either team in this match. Sometimes the wind is a factor in tennis if it becomes a distraction rather than anything it's actually doing to the tennis ball. And the return is long and wide. But all four of these players seem to have good focus, and I don't think that the wind is affecting them at all. Comes up wide, so a very nice rally. We have not had very many extended rallies, but both teams showing a lot of deft handling of the racket on that one, mixing up the speed and making the other team cover the whole court. And into a long point. The point goes to the Patriots. And a second serve now from Huguet. 15 all after Arvalo can't come up with the return. Yorktown with a comfortable lead. So these two schools, as I mentioned earlier, they met earlier in the season, almost 2 months ago, back over at Yorktown's courts. And the doubles lineup is very much different. Both Coach Chris Seeger of Yorktown and Russi Alexander of Washington Lee mixing it up and putting out a different lineup for the doubles play. Horton and Arvalo were in that #1 doubles match back in March, but they came out with different partners. particularly when one school has a comfortable lead after the singles portion of the match. It's a good opportunity for a high school coach to mix up the doubles lineup a little bit. So Tate, Arvallo, serving, hoping to close out the match. Nice return from Donnelly, and Horton's return goes long. The Patriots in this doubles match are up 7-3 over the Generals. And the good get by Arvallo, but his diagonal return goes long. So a point for the Generals, as they hope to break serve and keep the match going. And first serve is long from Arvallo. And the second serve is short, so point for the Generals. Again, you hear a lot of chatter from behind us. Actually, the baseball and softball fields are very busy this afternoon, as a lot of the younger athletes in Arlington County are out practicing their sport, while the high schoolers are here on the tennis courts. So Arvallo serving from ahead. Yorktown up 7-3. And the Patriots are ahead in this 11th game of the match. And that's the match. Yorktown takes it 8-3.